Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. So this is something certainly very unique to my channel, especially because I don't fly helicopters, but this is a super neat helicopter. If you've ever seen the movie Bridges of Tokyo-ri, you know this is, or the newest movie Devotion, you know this is a Korean era rescue helicopter that was used aboard aircraft carriers during the 1950s. And this awesome helicopter belongs to Michael, and he has offered to buddy box me on this thing. And like I said, I really have very, very little helicopter experience. I don't think I'm going to be very good at it, but we're going to take a video and see how it goes. Yeah, go ahead. All right, so Michael's going to get it up off the ground, and then this will be interesting. So my helicopter experience is very limited, so I understand the concept, but applying that concept is a whole different story.
You'll see right there, there's very minimal movement to maintain a hover.
Okay.
It's a naturally stable helicopter. This is about how much stick I'm using to make it go where I want to.
Okay.
So we'll bring it up a little bit here
Yeah.
and match my collected position.
About like that. Okay.
All right. You've got the controls.
Okay.
You got it?
No, it's not doing
Oh,
anything.
it didn't give it to you.
There it goes.
Stand by. I probably moved the controls right as I changed the switch, so I
Okay.
have to get it perfectly stable and not touch anything.
Oh, I see.
You have it. With to bring the collective down a little bit.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
I got it.
The yaw is super sensitive.
It takes a little getting used to.
So does it take, you actually have to hold the stick over, right? To keep it
Yeah,
from
it's
spinning?
a heading hold gyro.
Oh, I see.
So if you release the stick, I mean,
Ah,
that's sticks
okay.
off.
That's why. All right. Interesting.
It's not quite like a rudder.
Okay. That makes more sense now.
So we'll get it back up a little bit here. And you have control.
Okay. Does it also hold angle and stuff too, or is just it heading hold for the yaw position?
I believe it is an attitude hold more or less system. So it'll pretty much hold your attitude on you. But I don't know, to the same point that all helicopters will. There is a point where it diverges when you get over a certain bank angle, and it's going to want to bank itself into the ground.
Okay.
Because what it's really going to try from a controller perspective is to make your rotation rate constant to what the stick is doing. How does it feel?
Pretty good. I'm just kind of getting used to the movements, which, like you said, are super light.
Yep. That's your timer going. My timer still has plenty of time. The buddy box timer is not accurate. I would prefer if you brought it in closer.
Okay.
As uncomfortable it is, closer is usually better for helicopters. Up to about 10 feet. We prefer not to be closer than that. This gives me the best sight picture if I have to take control.
Right. Yeah, see what as soon as it starts like doing other things besides hovering, that's when my brain shuts down and I stop being able to
So
function.
one of the key things to learn on the helicopter is in a hover you're circulating your own rotor wash, so it's always a little bit squirrelier and a little bit more unstable
Uh-huh.
in a hover. If you put a little bit of forward airspeed into it, it wants to go forward and it'll keep going forward. But once you're in that clean air, it is more stable. It kind
Yeah.
of becomes more like an airplane.
Interesting.
It's still not 100% like an airplane. You have to use, since it's a heading hold gyro, you have to use a lot of rudder to make it go around the turns.
Right.
Um, but that's something you just got to get used to. But you can see, I bet this feels a lot more stable than that old Blade MCPX.
Well, yeah.
That thing would be darting all over the place. And
It's interesting how you can just kind of like move it.
yep,
It's not really flying, it's just you're moving it to different locations.
that's why it's kind of more like an acro mode quadcopter. You can translate it, make it go to wherever you want to fairly easily. But if you point the nose forward and start just, you know, fly it up and down the runway a time or two, um, you'll kind of see what I mean. It doesn't. It will fly all directions. It is happiest to fly forward. That's the drag profile the fuselage was built for. So it has a
Yeah.
lot less weird, dirty airflow over it in that configuration.
Yeah,
Good.
I could see how like turning it towards myself would be an interesting proposition.
It takes a little bit to get used to
Because
because you have that extra axis to control.
yeah,
Um,
because just like going back and forth like this, when I have really good visual on it and my movements match the helicopter, it's
yep.
that's taxing my brain enough as it is. So I'm sure, just like anything else, it just takes a lot of practice to get to where you're comfortable with it.
It does, but like anything else, after a few flights on it, you kind of get that click, and it starts to make sense. It's weird for me because I grew up flying full-scale helicopters,
Oh wow.
so a helicopter intuitively makes more sense to me than an airplane on a lot of levels. And to me, the best part is at the end of the day, in a helicopter, you always land with zero airspeed. You almost never break a landing gear. It
Yeah.
just doesn't happen.
Unless you really plop it in there.
Yep. We're doing good.
Yeah, I'm sure it just takes a little bit to get the muscle memory going too, because it's kind of like at first you're just having to think about it a lot, and then
Absolutely.
you get to the point where you just start making it do stuff on your own.
See, you're already holding a position way better than most people would on their first attempt on a scale helicopter. You ready to put your hoist down and get that Panther pilot
Yeah,
before he sinks.
and you gotta look out for those North Koreans. That's who you really gotta look out for.
Yeah. You got to make sure those Sky Raiders did their job first.
Right, gotta clear them all out. And I could see how after a handful of flights, you could probably start. I mean, this thing's set up really well, and it's obviously, like you said, it's super stable. It's not like it's an aerobatic helicopter or anything. So,
No, if you tried aerobatic things, this helicopter would not be happy in any way. It's exactly like a real S-51 H5. It's got about the same flight envelope. One of the things that actually helps it, you notice it doesn't have a tail fin. A
Yeah.
lot of later helicopters have a vertical fin. This made it yaw unstable on the real one over about 90 knots.
Oh, wow.
So that was about its top speed.
Interesting.
But on the model, that means there's no big fin blocking your tail rotor.
Yeah.
So I can turn the head speed down and keep plenty of tail authority at very low RPM, which means right now you're pulling 12 amps in an out of ground effect hover. This is
Wow.
the max power condition for this helicopter.
That's crazy.
If I went and I do forward flight with it, I can get it down to 6 amps.
Wow.
So 30 seconds of time, I'm going to take the time back here.
You got it.
But you can see a little bit where it wants to go forward. I'm releasing it. It wants to.
Wow.
And then it starts to fly a little more like an airplane.
Interesting.
So I got plenty of voltage. I could probably go for another 5 minutes, so don't worry about the timer.
Timer expired.
Yep. That's pretty cool.
But on top of that, I'll fly this in up to 35 miles an hour a wind.
Wow.
And it's happy.
Now we do need a scarf blowing outside of the cabin there.
Yeah, I got to figure out how to get a pilot figure in there that doesn't interfere with the battery. That's the problem.
Very cool. Well, I appreciate you giving me the chance to try a helicopter for the first time.
No problem.
It was definitely as challenging as I was expecting it to be. So I'm sure after some practice I could do a little better, but I mean, hey, first time with a helicopter. So thanks, Mike. And
No problem.
we'll see you in the next